Hello and welcome along to the JACKOCAR Cup Series here for Season 6, Round 10. It is Austria, and you know what that means. It is the regular season finale, and it is time to decide our last two playoff positions. This is going to be, hopefully, a very exciting race tonight. I am your confident Owen White. With me, I have got a new race winner in JACKOCAR. He won it in his car. It is, in fact, Jacko.
Yes, number 40 out of 81, which actually, Owen, becomes 82 drivers in the league tonight, so we're actually further away from the 50% than what we were before I won my race, but it doesn't matter. It's poised beautifully, isn't it? We've got, the cut line is 0, we've got 10 points between the three guys fighting for the regular season title. It's just, it's what we dream of.
This is it. I still don't know which one I'm more interested in, because I want to say I'm more interested in looking at the playoffs fight, but then I properly looked into the actual championship fight, and obviously winning the regular season is a big deal. You get a lot of playoff points for it, and yeah. Well, we haven't always seen the best sort of conversion rates from champion of the regular season to season champion. It's still a big deal. And so there's a lot to sort of play for tonight. And you've got the likes of Corey, who, well, this really is Last Chance Saloon. And with a qualifying ban, it's really, really Last Chance Saloon. And it's going to have to be a properly exciting race. Same for Casper. Also with a qualifying ban, he's one of the three drivers in the fight to win this thing tonight. So I reckon this is already, before a car's even left the pit lane, set up to be one of the most exciting races of the season.
And dare I say, Tez might have something to say about that. Maybe he's been waiting for Austria, but he still sits on 0 points after 9 rounds. In fact, let's go through the order, shall we? Which I never do this. I'm going to cover it. Is that all right?
No.
Of course it is. This is my league. So, in 20th, Tez, 0 points. Corey has 5, and then Connor, Risky, who's not here. In place of him is actually Mick Schumacher, who is Marco Schneider, the 82nd driver in JACKOCAR. But Mike, Pete, and Jess, those guys in the bottom 7, are all in a must-win situation. But this is where it starts to get interesting as you creep up the table. Michael O'Kk, 13th, he's minus 11. Virtually needs to win the race to advance. In front of him is Ben Harrett on minus 4, and then Jordan outside of the playoff bubble, 0 points behind. He's behind Yuri Hazelager on countback because of Yuri's P2 last week. In 9th is Estimats, or Christian Hotaro from Estonia. He is plus 4 to the good, but we've seen it before. Plus 4 is very, very small. Ahead of them are the 8 guys that have already qualified, 7 of them with wins, 2 of them with multiple wins, and of course Gareth sat there 4th on points with no wins, but he could have won on his Joker in Silverstone. It's set up beautifully, Owen, and we get to see Tez lead the field out once again for qualifying.
Yes, we're getting quite used to seeing him out there, and he's got a slightly different livery on the car this week. Perhaps this will give him some luck. I must say, I absolutely love this. The colours really pop. It reminds me, well, a lot of these are going to remind you of the flipping Prime, isn't it? Prime, the ice pop flavour. Yeah. The one which none of us can find in the shops because all the little kids are taking them and reselling them for ridiculous prices. But anyway, it's a nice looking livery, and can Tees finally have a good race. I mean, this really is it, Last Chance Saloon. If you want to get into the playoffs, you've got to win tonight. And my goodness, what a story it would be. We've seen it before with the bottom driver in the championships come to Austria and taken the win. But let's see if Tees can master only 10 corners here in Austria through turn 1. Don't hit that first curb too hard. You can lose a lot, if not even invalidate the whole lap. But he's made it through okay. Turn 2 isn't really relevant anymore because of the motorbike, so I wonder if they're going to change it back to it not being a corner since they've actually got their own sort of chicane in there now. Turn 3, Tees gets through there relatively well. This is a good start to the lap so far. Bit of wheel spin on the exit. I expect a lot of drivers are going to struggle with that. And then towards turn 4, long sweeping right-hander. We see many accidents here in real life. Wonder how much of a flashpoint it's going to be this season in the Cup Series as he heads up the hill through 5 and towards 6. Another tricky corner is really got to pick your moments to accelerate here, because if you get a little bit too wide, you'll be way off the road. 7 and 8 as well. Easy to spin off to the left or to the right if you get too much on that curve. And now it's just turns 9 and 10. T's having a very good lap so far. Does he get himself through 9? Okay, yes he does. Turn 10, you just got to send it here. Don't take too much curve once again. And the DRS will take you to the line, and T's will set us a 1 minute 4.7.
Quite competitive, I dare say, but we've said that before about T's, but it is nice to see him actually complete a solid looking lap. Next out for an installation lap only is Corey. In fact, he's not even coming out, so he will stay in the pits. So we move to Connor Byers.
I feel like Corey's, at least make an appearance, lad. I'm a bit disappointed in that, as we see Connor up towards turn 1. We'll keep asking, are we going to see some sort of shock result for the CEO with the colour purple today? I must say, this looks, again, terrific as a I'm sure he's run this one before, but I don't know, just from the front, I just love his purple liveries, man. I feel they don't get rewarded enough. And I know purple is the most hated colour around these parts, but, I mean, look at it, man. How can you hate this?
Because it reminds me of another league that we are actually 2-0 up against them in the series. But no, we love one hub, really, don't we? We were just better.
Do we?
Anyway, Connor, as he looks to complete Sector 2. Again, this corner here on the exit is where Corey lost his Championship 5 in Season 3. He will tell you he actually disconnected on the main straight, but our screen showed us with him in the gravel at turn 7. Through the final corner then, turn 10. Here comes Connor Byers in the 74 car. Purple or not, he goes P2. It's 1:05.9.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds then off the pace. So that would suggest that Tees has got a nice competitive time. And oh, look at this then. Marco has come out with... just...
He's been listening to the streams, hasn't he?
This guy knows me, man. He knows me. Bit of blue, bit of green, even a bit of black on the trim as well. And he's got some nice colours on the helmet as well. Some sort of Dayglow vomit colours on there. But you know what? They kind of suit. He'll definitely stand out tonight as he comes around the final corner. It's going to be nowhere near a competitive time, unfortunately, so I don't think there'll be any issues earlier on in the lap. But 2.9 seconds off, it is a first valid qualifying lap on his first attempt, so an achievement regardless for Marco Schneider.
Yeah, Marco Schneider, actually a Kia Series driver. He was drafted in start of this week. I don't think he raced though. And he becomes a 73rd driver in the Cup Series, or the 82nd in JACKOCAR as a whole, as we move on to MK Bourne, Mike Kelterborn, the first of what is now 3 Germans. So one German follows another, and he's got that the metallic red, and it's a lovely looking livery for Mike, isn't it? A man who has won a race before, but he's not won a race for... Let me get the stat for you, Owen. He has not won a race in 81 attempts. Here he comes then, Mike Kelterborn for the final corner. What's it going to be? P2. It is a good lap from Tez, you know.
It is. It is holding very, very nicely indeed. And now, Pete, we bigged him up, didn't we, a little bit on Tuesday night about the fact he was about to break his wind stride. But then when he heard me say it's not quite 113 weeks yet, he put the brakes on. And so it is now today, 113 weeks since this man last won in JACKOCAR. Quite depressing. But, do you know what? Even though he didn't win on Tuesday, he was going to win. And he sort of let it disappear to Sully, and then it ended up not being Sully at all, because Jacko decided he actually fancied winning the race. All this means...
Always been my favourite driver.
all this means is that Pete may well be coming into this with a little bit of confidence now. He's been leading a race this week. He knows he's got the pace still. Can he get himself back on the top step of a JACKOCAR podium? Not based on that qualifying lap, a second off Tees' pace.
Yeah, not to be delusional, but that was... Sorry, I'm not being delusional, but that was Pete's race in the bag. Nice of him to pull over as we see Jess through the final corner then, Owen, and up to the line. Of course, Jess, a race winner in the Kia Series as well this season, almost like Pete. But yeah, she goes P5 with that. And up next is Michael Okeke, who, going back to that race on Tuesday, he was very much in the battle at the end, wasn't he, with myself and Michael O'Sullivan.
He was indeed. You didn't really take much notice of him, I did.
No,
But is
not
he?
at all.
What sort of livery is he running then tonight? This is very not OKK colours for me. This
I like it,
I do like
but
it.
it's not what you would expect from him, is it?
Yeah, I do like it though. It stands out a wee bit. What's it? He's got a bit of brown burgundy, whatever you want to call it, but he's got the strong yellow to go with it. I do like it. I really do like it. And then the white and black as well. Good trims. I'm a fan of this livery. And then the black helmet to top it all off. It'll certainly stand out on the track as he nearly loses it and does go invalid for the final corner. Oh, he had to collect it up and it was just too much for him. It would have put him, I would say, possibly 5th that time. But it's not going to be anywhere. It's P20 instead. As we move on to Jake O'Sullivan. You'd forget he's qualified and all, really, wouldn't you? But he's having a whale of a time out there at the minute as he heads himself through middle sector. How does he keep going under the radar? Because it's not like he's been driving badly.
This is what I was just about to come in with, Owen. Like, you forget, and it sounds awful, but you forget he's a Season 5 champion. But he's had a much more straightforward season this time around as he looks to defend his title, certainly on his way to a 3rd playoffs in a row. Of course, he desperately missed out in Monaco in Season 4, come back with a vengeance in Season 5 and won Saudi Arabia. And of course, looking at a potential 2nd title then is Jake O'Sullivan up to the line. It's P2, getting closer to Tez though.
Getting closer to
Ben
Tez.
Harrett has a new livery, I believe.
Oh no. Well, let's hope it's okay. Let's hope it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Okay. He's still got the nice blues in there. Do you know what? I saw this livery template on the store yesterday, and I was hoping we'd see some people using it. And so I'm glad that Ben Spurs has got the initiative to go out there, spend a bit of his hard-earned cash, and give us a nice livery to look at.
Don't worry, Ben. I like
I'm
it.
a big fan of this one. As he heads himself through the final corner. Is he going to be able to get anywhere near Tees? No. So half the field have gone, and Tees is still at the top. And what a day he could have then, because I'm sure he's looking at every driver coming through, and I'm sure he can't quite believe it as Jordan heads himself through the middle sector. And well, he'll be a 10th man tonight, as will Ben Harrett, and Michael Okeke especially is going to have a lot of work to do. These guys are below the cut line. This is the last driver we see who's below the cut line and needs a
gets away with that.
Big result as he pushes it right through the final corner. Only goes P6, so Ben Harrett has that early advantage over him. And Jordan is equal on points with the man who won this race last season, and it is Yuri Hasselager. He is, like I say, equal on points with Jordan, but only 4 of Christian Hataro. And well, there's only 2 playoff spots to fight for, and so those 2 are currently occupying those spots. But as I say, if someone in that bottom sort of 7 wins a race, that brings it up to only 1 available for these guys, and that can happen. We've seen it before. And it'll be so tense watching those guys tonight, and that's why I'm sort of conflicted. Do I watch the championship battle at the front, or do I watch the playoff battle at the back? It's going to be so exciting as Yuri coming up to the line, looks at okay lap, but again, nowhere near T's, only P4.
Yuri, of course, winning this race last season after the infamous Corey Kazi that we have named it, where he took out 3 championship rivals and himself, and then got penalised, and Yuri was the man to pick up the pieces. As we move to Christian Hataro, then +4 above the cut line, so the safest of those on points should we get an outside winner tonight. But it's just, we've seen 1 point decide these final playoff positions before. Remember Risky in Season 1 and Bazza missing out as well, and just, you do not know. But hopefully Esti Matsi's been on form this season, hasn't he? So maybe as he's invalidated, that's not on form, but maybe he's going to put on a show for us tonight. And
we're not about to watch Esti Mats get suggested to a run through the playoffs this season, having played so well for the first part of the season. Started to fall apart in around Imola when he didn't show up, then Bahrain where he had this off, and another bad run here. And well, he's going to have quite a tense race, starting from at best P11, and I'm sure it'll get worse from there as we move on to Leroy, of course, qualified because of his victory in Imola, a season on from when he made his debut there. and he's got some very nice colours on him tonight. I'm a big fan of it. You can't guess why, I'm sure. And he comes up to the line, up into the top 3. Very much deserved.
Good lap from Leroy, but he has been impressive all season across both tiers. A lot of talk about him being too fast for the Kia series as we now look towards Speed Kieran. I think he won in VSL last night, didn't he? He's certainly won in JACKOCAR this season, so he's also on form as we heading towards the post-season. What a time to pick up form on a game that you dislike. As he has been very vocal about that. Into turn 9 then comes Kieran, cuts across that line that you're not allowed to cut during the race. If you are pitting, sorry. And through turn 10 he goes. Kieran to the line. It's only P9. That's so out of character for him.
But luckily he's back in character with the strange colours on his livery, so we'll take that for him. But well, after that lap, we can confirm then. That means Tees is starting this spin in the top 5. So this really is looking like it's going to be his day of days so far. But we are really into the big guns now. Jamie Griffiths, Gareth Hall, Jamie Wright, Ben Shaw. Surely one of those guys, but not with that hairpin for Jamie Numbers.
Awful from Jamie Griffiths. So just very quickly on Tez, his best ever JACKOCAR qualifying is P3. So he needs to finish ahead of at least 2 more drivers to equal that. But yes, Owen, Jamie Griffiths, that was very messy, wasn't it?
And a big mistake like that on a short track like this will cost you so many positions. Look at the split there from P3 down to even P6. You can see how tight that sort of group is. And that mistake takes you those 3 or 4 tenths. And so it could cost you a lot of positions on the grid. Luckily, he's not really fighting for much tonight. But still, you don't want to be making those mistakes when you've got playoffs coming up in front of you. You want to be staying consistent, but as you can see, Jamie is going to be right at the back. P12 only beating Marco with his time. And
at least he kept it valid.
At least he has kept it valid, but not exactly the best lap in the world. As we see Gareth heading round, and he told me that your livery on Tuesday was a bit of a preview to what we were going to see tonight from him. And indeed, using the same template, but not following the track as he heads through turn 8. And that's another driver falling by the wayside potentially. Luckily, he's also qualified on points alone. No victories this season, he's just been so consistent. But not with that sort of qualifying lap. That's very out of character for him as he comes up to the line, only P11. And so we find ourselves with a little bit of a gap now because Casper is, of course, facing a qualifying ban. As we see, Iceman's out there, and Jamie, where is Jamie actually?
Retired.
Jamie's not in there. So this means that we're going to be sitting here watching Iceman doing a light lap for quite a while, and we're about to see if he's going to steal a pole position tonight off Tees, who, let's say, bottom of the championship on nil points. This is as bad as it gets in a JACKOCAR season, but he could pick up some very valuable points tonight if he can stay in that P1. As Iceman, he runs around here with a red rear, which is very uncharacteristic for him. We're used to seeing him in, of course, purple. So I wonder why he's changed. He's still got a purple helmet, but why the red at the back, I wonder?
Really not too sure. I was thinking back to Tuesday night with the red on my livery. Did Gareth ever mention it was styled off the Air Jordan 3? I think that was a nice little fact that he should have chucked in. But Tez, first or second, it will be his best qualifying ever in JACKOCAR. What a comeback for Tez then, as Iceman begins his lap here in Spielberg, Owen, and into turn 1 he goes then.
Very rare we get to see the final lap of qualifying all on board. Normally we're watching Jamie at this point crossing line, but this is a very exciting position we find ourselves in. Jamie Wright, by the way, saying he had stick drift issues, and that could be quite a big problem for the rest of tonight. If he wants to win the regular season championship, that is not the way to be starting off. Iceman, of course, now sits there knowing that Jamie Wright will be starting probably 17th, Casper 19th. If he can just stick this on pole or even near the front, it gives him a massive opportunity to win the regular season tonight. He's already pretty close, well, I say pretty close, he's 2 points clear, but he's top. And he just has to keep this all on the road. Will he risk too much as he heads through the last few corners of the lap? Now, the game will always say it's purple in the first and second sector, so it really is all about just waiting to see what the actual time will be as he comes through the last 2 corners. Turn 9 goes a bit wide, but still keeps it valid. And turn 10, and now it's all to the timing screens. It's gonna be close, but it's not enough to beat Tees. Tees finally onto pole position in the JACKOCAR Cup Series on a night where he has to win to get into the playoffs. He is bottom of the championship. He is 62 points off the cut line. He's on nothing. And this is the perfect start to his regular season finale. As Iceman ends up P3 in the end. You'll still be happy enough with that, I think, because, like I say, with how far down his main rivals tonight are, and so it could be another win in the regular season for Iceman. But it's a long way to go yet. Still a whole 36 laps in front of us.
As obviously we have the regular season championship to decide, the four main ways that Ben can be champion, I'll tell you now very clearly. Win the race. He is champion simply by outscoring Jamie and Casper. Jamie being no higher than second and Ben directly behind him in classification, without Casper being more than a few positions ahead. Or also Casper, Jamie and Ben all DNFing and DSQing would give Ben his second regular season title, and he would be the first to go back to back doing such a feat. Arnaud, the only other man who has won 2 regular season titles, but man at the moment, and by quite a margin, Tez. What a lap.
Yeah, Tez on pole then. Jake second, Iceman third, Leroy fourth, MK Bourne up there in fifth. Good from him as well. Haven't seen him up there that much recently. Yori, good for his run at the playoffs. I think you won't mind that, being ahead of Ben and Jordan. Pete in between Ben and Jordan, and then Kieran 10th. Connor, Gareth, Jess, Jimmy numbers. Marco on his debut, slowest qualified time, but 5 drivers without a time. SD Mats needs a big result tonight. Jimmy Wright needs another big result. Corey again, Casper again, if they want their representative titles, and OKK too. So these guys at the back are going to have a very exciting race, because all 5 of them really do actually need to pull something out of the bag.
Yep, and just to add a little more spice onto it. Oh, and did you know that we also have a Joker tonight? We've not even touched on that yet.
I haven't even mentioned that yet, no.
No, so Joker in the form of MK Bourne, he's the only one.
Ooh.
And the stage points as well. Not that they matter too much to the guys that are up the front, but anybody who might want a few last minute playoff points, they are laps 9 and lap 18. Once again, no formation lap, whilst we wait for Codemasters to fix their game yet again. But other than that, I think we're set perfectly up for another JACKOCAR Classic.
So MK Bourne, 16th in the championship on a Joker, facing a must-win situation, already qualified in P5. The only Joker out there. That is a very good position to find himself in. So, I mean, honestly, this race has been set up perfectly. I'm actually quite glad it stayed dry as well, because we've started to see rain ruin races on the F1 game. So we're going to get to see all the strategies played out properly. Do
you remember when Mike was leading this race once, and then it started
to
rain in a must-win
situation?
Yeah.
Well,
and of course, that's when you couldn't change tyres.
Indeed.
So, it's all over to you. It's set up beautifully. JACKOCAR and the Cup Series, Owen Wyatt.
5 lights then here in Austria. T's on pole for the first time ever. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. It's a good start from Jake. Can he get himself into the lead? Yes, he can, straight away. Who's good on the brakes? We see Leroy fighting away, Yuri trying to make a move, and Ben Spurs alongside him. Big race for these two, like I say, and they're going wheel to wheel down the back straight as Leroy moves up to second place now, and Ben and Yuri, who's going to come out on top there, because this early fight is going to be one that we'll be keeping our eye on this whole evening, I would imagine, as he goes around the outside. Ben Spurs has a big moment for Iceman. He loses ground, and Yuri up to P4. Ben and Ben side by side. Spurs trying to go round the outside. Is there room as Ben Shaw goes at the inside? And again, look at that. Tease back up to second, showing some good fight as we lose Pete early on at turn 4. I mentioned we could see accidents there, and we do see a full course yellow of some description. I would imagine it's a full safety car, or a VSC actually for now.
Only a VSC, yeah, for Pete's retirement. Didn't quite see what happened there, but he's stricken at turn 4, leaving us with 19 drivers. The Ben versus Ben fight is quite an interesting one, but as it stands, Iceman is your regular season champion. And look at all these pitters, Owen.
Yeah, well, they're taking advantage of the VSC. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we see the whole field bar MK Bourne into the pits. This is bad news for him. He already had a bad start off the grid, losing a couple of positions, but now seeing the whole field get to make pit stops under VSC conditions, he will not be very happy indeed. Of course, it isn't the entire field. We do see approximately, I want to say, 7 of them staying out, and yes, 7 stay out. But all these stops are mandatory, and there'll be a few stackers happening here as well. So look up at people losing out as we go green once again here in Austria. But it's Jake coming out of the pits in front of Tees, and Jamie Numbers is going off the road again at turn 3 as he tries to pass Jordan. And, well, that is a theme. Hopefully we won't see too much tonight from Jamie Numbers, but he's starting to slip in form just a wee bit as Kieran and OKK fight side by side. I have a feeling those two were involved in the accident, or at least Kieran was, because you can see how much debris there is all over his floor on the left-hand side, if you were looking from the driver's perspective, so you won't actually see it as we go through turn 6, but definitely a little bit of trouble there, perhaps, in his start. But NK Born, all he has to do is drive a normal race now, because he has got a lead of 13.1 seconds, and yeah, he just has to control it from here. Big ask. Safety cars will obviously wipe that gap out, and I imagine we might well get one before he gets a chance to pit for the only time in this race. But is there more cars in? Leroy is taking his second stop.
As is Iceman, yeah. But this is exactly the same scenario as 5 seasons ago, isn't it? When Mike could have won that Austria race back then. It's all happening as Jamie Griffiths gets past Jordan. You remember when Jordan did a move on Pete there? And it sent, sorry, it did a move on Bettino and it sent Pete to the chase 2 seasons ago. So many memories around this track, and we've got 4 guys who have now completed their mandatory stops in the form of Leroy, Iceman, Corey and Casper. So Casper and Iceman on the same strategy now. J-Luke joins them, actually. So the 3 regular season contenders are complete and to the end. I think you'll find they're also all on hard tyres.
Yes, and that may sound like a weird decision on paper, but it means that when we get any sort of safety cars later on in the race, they can pit to whatever tyre they want, and it'll be okay because they've already finished their mandatory stops. And so it's a clever move from these guys, because they know the safety cars will come. As Marco goes off at the final corner, loses a few more positions, and Jordan was into the pits as well, by the way, as we have another yellow flag. Is that for SD Mats? It is indeed. SD Mats really needing a big performance tonight, and finds himself making yet more mistakes as Leroy and Corey fight side by side. They're going to catch up to Tees, or they're going to catch up to SD Mats, I should say, and Leroy will stay ahead, but SD Mats loses 2 places in 1 corner. Can Corey move himself up as Jordan comes out of the pits in 12th place, and of course DRS is enabled, so this should be a relatively easy move for
anybody
Corey.
Who's Corey does get through. Anybody who's seen the JACKOCAR Cup Series group chat will know that Corey and Leroy are not the best of friends at all, so this is a personal battle between these two. Leroy stays in a slipstream, moves to what is going to become the inside at turn 3 and sends it on Corey. Can he get the traction on the exit? Corey's going to fight it and spins but saves it. Leroy will have DRS once again. Down towards turn 4, to the inside once again goes Leroy. Corey gives him a car's width and no more, and Corey will hang it around the outside. Leroy doesn't quite have the grip on those hard tyres. Corey all over the place, but gets the move done eventually, half a lap after it started.
That was stunning stuff. What a fight that was as they headed through that first sector, and Corey stays ahead for now as Jake gets himself in front of Jess. He'll pick up a little bit of DRS as well as he does that. T's on the hard compound of tyre, so he may not have the pace for now, but he's doing quite well to stay close, and that'll obviously benefit him later on in the race, getting the slowest tyre out of the way nice and early. And so expect stuff from him later as well, as long as he can keep himself facing in a straight line. Can he get by Jess in towards turn 4? Yes, he can. Has SD Mats had more issues?
I'm not too sure.
He's falling a bit further down. He's now down 17th place.
Yeah.
Losing a place to Iceman it was, as the fight between Leroy and oh well, Corey's off. I was about to say it was starting to get a bit calm, but Corey, he can't keep this car in a straight line. I think this is a driver who may well end up chase bound at the end of tonight. And Casper, I noticed he was complaining about us not showcasing his livery, so let's just give him a little bit of spotlight now.
There it is.
Unfortunately, we've got a rubbish camera angle on it, but there it is. There you go. There's the angle. Right, let's go back to the race. MK Bourne will be picking up a playoff point soon enough.
Yep, Kieran and OKK pit, by the way. MK Bourne will get the playoff point on lap 9. I imagine he may pit after that.
Well, is it too early for him to pit there? That's the thing. How far does he want to go into the race before he makes that mandatory Joker stop? Because he wants to make sure he doesn't find himself in a tricky position. I suppose also hoping to see Tease and Jake fighting away, and what's happened at the hairpin.
Yuri and Marco fighting at turn 3. I think Yuri pushed him wide, only call it late. Yuri will probably send it on the inside, and Marco now on his debut. He will try and hang it around the outside, but Yuri's far too wise for that. 9-time race winner in JACKOCAR, 1 in the Cup Series here last season, 8 in the Kia Series, and Kia Series champion.
Jordan as well, on the back of Connor. Of course, he pitted a little bit out of sequence to these guys. Not by much, but it'll be interesting to see how he gets on, because he really does need to get up towards where Ben and Yuri are. He's actually coming to the pits for a second time, so he's going to be completing his pit stop strategy.
Smart move. I do respect this as a smart move. Get himself on strategy with the likes of Leroy, Iceman, Casper, Jamie and Corey. So Jordan is good to the end.
And Ben Harrett really looking to get himself
Ben
past.
Harrett as well. Yeah.
To get himself past Marco for now, because you can see Yuri getting away, but the issue is Marco still has DRS on Yuri, and so it's not a massive amount he can do about this right now. I don't think the DRS will be there on the next lap, because you can see that gap's over a second now, but he was there in the detection zone. That's all that counts, so it keeps Ben behind for another lap. As we see the other Ben on the back of Leroy and nearly hitting the back. And I say, SD Mats, he really needs to be getting a move on. He is seeing his playoff campaign potential disappearing. Of course, he's on a good strategy, but if you're falling behind everyone around you and having the mistakes he's been making, you're still gonna surely be sitting there feeling a little bit nervous about your prospects for the championship, at least for now.
As it stands, Owen, Mike and Yuri will be the ones that advance. Mike would be winning this race, and Yuri getting through on points ahead of Jordan and OKK and Ben Harrett. But a driver like Ben Harrett, whilst it's calmed down briefly, you know, he's been on a lot better form this season. What does he actually want? Do you reckon he can carry his good form into the chase and be extra fast? Or, yeah, I saw that as well.
Yeah.
Or does he go to the playoffs and fight it out to the big boys?
Well, I suppose you could argue that going through the chase is arguably the easier option if you're a bit on the edge, but you're still got to win the chase championship, and that is beating 10 other beating 9 other drivers. So that's not as easy as it sounds all the time. Of course, we saw only one champion of the whole thing ever come out of the chase, and it was last season. It was Jake. So it can be done.
And Nils in the Kia Series, don't forget.
Yeah, Kia Series as well, of course, but
sorry, it's not our tier, bro. It doesn't matter.
But when it comes to I'm just saying, by the way, we're side by side with Kieran and Marco into turn 9. That's a bit of a risky one to go for, but Kieran's gonna complete the move.
Oh, Connor! Into the wall.
Oh,
that's a safety car,
isn't it? Surely. And that is going to wipe out the lead that NK Bourne had on the lap where he picks up that playoff point. I'm sure he'll be sitting there thinking, if only one more lap, but Connor couldn't hold on to it, losing it through the final corner and bringing out the first full safety car of the regular season finale. And this is where everyone who's made their second stop will be sitting there and they'll be grinning from ear to ear. And let's just have a look at how many have done that. We have got Iceman, our net leader, as a result of that. Leroy second. Jordan, like I say, getting those stops out of the way. Look how much that could well pay off for him now as he tries to fight for a spot in the chase, or in the playoffs, I should say.
So it doesn't go unnoticed, look where Corey is on track in comparison to Mike. What an absolute blessing in disguise for a man coming into this on a must-win situation.
He has a 5-second penalty as well. I wonder if he's going to take that during the safety car. But I want to also say,
he can't afford to do it now. It's too soon. He'll need to wait until he's got to the back of the train.
What I want to also point out as well, obviously, as we're going through the order, Casper and Jamie right up there as well. Now, that means that the net top 5 of those who have pitted, all of the 3 main drivers fighting for the regular series championship are with each other now. So that is good strategic work from Casper and Jamie to get themselves into that position, because it means we could very well see a very exciting fight between those 3 later on in the race. I'm looking forward to that.
That's what we want as well, isn't it? As Mike, by the way, collects the stage win for lap 9 and his 8th stage win all time. Nice playoff point to take into the chase, or maybe even the playoffs if he can get it all together.
And well, I've got to say, I mean, it still doesn't look that bad for him. I think he would have wanted one extra lap so he could get himself into the pits. But Iceman, Leroy, and all that, like I said, are on the hard compound tires. But he's going to have to go for those as well. And as I say, if you have those 2 stops completed, what this means is that you can pit as many times as you want now, under as many safety cars as you want, and just keep putting yourself on new, fresh tires. And I wonder if we'll see Corey, particularly, doing that. Maybe putting some mediums on or something. I know he did spin off on the mediums, didn't he? So maybe he wasn't the biggest fan of those tyres, but he wants something for the restart, because he'd like to, I'm sure, get into the mix with the other guys, and he'll know there'll be more safety cars potentially later on, so he can get off those tyres if he wants to. But I'm sure we'll see the aggressive approach from someone out there, as we have most of the field packed up behind the safety car. And like I say, I expect Corey to pit, actually. I expect it, because he'll want to get that penalty stripped off as well. You don't want that hanging over your head for the rest of the race. You're last anyway, and you might as well do it now.
Especially that he is completed on his stops as well.
He's coming in. It's the right thing to do.
And the safety car will stay out an extra lap in this scenario at this stage of the race. Oh, I thought he was going to speed into the pit lane then.
That's what he got the penalty for last time, but this could be another blessing in disguise, because I imagine we'll see the yellow marked medium compound tires. No, in fact, it's the red marked soft compound tires. So he is going properly aggressive, and if you are Jamie, and if you're Casper, and if you're Jordan, who'll be arguably the most tense out of all those guys who completed those 2 stops, you'll be seeing Corey kind of behind you, and you'll be, well, what will you do? Do you want to get yourself out of his way? Or we know how it ended for Corey last season when he got into the way of the sort of leading potential drivers. He took them all out. The safety car's in this lap, so he's going to have to give it. He's going to have to give it a lot of welly. I think he'll still catch it, maybe, because this does slow down a lot as we prepare for the restart. But still, I think Corey will be calling race fixing on that one. But nothing,
like he does with every other decision that we get.
Nothing we can really do about that, as we see MK Bourne then coming through the last couple of corners. The restart zone is the DRS activation point, as it always is, so he comes up to you now, and well, here he goes. He's easily got himself away. A very calm and collected restart for NK Bourne. How's T's going to get on the back of Jake? Because I'm still fascinated between those two, as Jake has a big moment and T's goes alongside and Jamie goes alongside NK Bourne. So a lot of fighting happening through the field at the front. NK Bourne stays ahead for now. T's moves ahead for now, and Jamie up the inside. Can he get himself through? Will there be contact at turn 3? Yes, there will. T's tries to make advantage, but he has a moment on the exit as well. Yuri getting some good advantage out of this, up into the top 3 now, and we see Jess falling through the field as Jamie and Casper move themselves through.
Look at T's down the inside. What a move that'll be.
Well,
go on.
He hasn't quite got the tyres, but he's able to stay alongside for now, as we see Yuri all over the back of NK Bourne and right outside. T's making contact. Is he going to crash again? Not quite. He just about held it, as we see Jake really sideways as well. A lot of these guys giving it everything on this restart lap, and they're still going for it in the midfield. As we see OKK, we see Gareth, we see Marco, all fighting. Who's going to pit as well? Be careful for looking at cars on the inside, because you could so easily smash into them. But everyone seems to be avoiding them. It's Jake, it's Ben, it's not MK Bourne, interestingly. Marco, Jess, all into the pits.
Yeah, I was just looking at T's. Amazing how he didn't get any wing damage when he went to the back of Yuri, but such bravery to throw that move down the inside of Yuri. He's going to have another go here on the run up to turn 3, Owen.
He is indeed. On the inside, should be able to make this one stick now. On Yuri, the race winner here last season, and the pole sitter today moves up into 3rd place. Can he keep this one going? Because it is a very exciting race for him so far. I'm sure he's loving every second of this, as he's all over the back and
surely not. Go on, T's. Down the inside he goes.
Lovely stuff. A proper NASCAR move.
Where's this driver been?
I know, I've been waiting all season for him, as Yuri moves up in front as well of NK Bourne, and it's T's up into 2nd place. Can he now chase after the race leader? On again, yes, I'll say it again, the hard compound tyres. This shouldn't really be happening.
He's been fast, hasn't he, all through the race and in qualifying, obviously with that pole position. But, you know, this is his 14th start,
Oh,
one
this'll be
race
easy,
finish,
Jacko.
12 DNFs and a DSQ for Tez. But finally, he proves himself in a must-win situation as we approach half race distance. DRS enabled.
Ben Spurs
is
from
round.
Narnia. That could be so important for later on
But here we
tonight.
go.
Here
Tez
comes
has the
Tees.
run.
Not using the ERS, is he going to save it for the run down towards turn 4 and quickly becoming his favourite overtaking spot? But he will do it in turn 3. He gets there before the detection point, so he'll get DRS on the exit. Perfectly managed so far. And as he opens up the rear wing, it should be easy enough now just to finish off the move on Jamie Griffiths. And he's going to switch him inside line. We know he's going to do it, and he's going to make it stick, surely. And Tez is into the lead of this race. Jamie picks up a penalty as well. Fantastic last few laps for our pole sitter, the man who's bottom of the championship on no points, would you believe?
What a race. He's given us a show, hasn't he? And coming into tonight, who thought that Tez would be the man that's causing all the drama?
It's another one in that turn 6 runoff. And we've seen 2 of the potential playoff drivers tonight possibly being subjected to the chase due to this patch of grass. Ben on the last lap, OKK on this lap, and the 10-second penalty. Well, that'll just make it all worse for him as we see Marco overtaking him. OKK again. It's going to be, I suppose, a playoff or a chase campaign for him. As SD Matt moved over, I think, to let Corey go. I suppose that was him deciding he doesn't want to get involved too much. But
Jamie
look at how
Griffiths
close.
On the back of Tez. Look at this now for the race lead, Owen.
Have you noticed,
Jamie Griffiths to the inside.
Look how big the train behind these guys is. This is a massive, massive scrap. And as they wheelbind on the exit, they've got to be looking at what's behind them, because I don't think they quite understand. It's practically a safety car train behind them still as Tez pushing Jamie through the corner. Fantastic stuff. But Jamie back into the lead, making use of those medium compound tyres. Like I say, it is the better tyre out there. It's just Tez is so aggressive. He's making it work on a slower compound. I cannot wait to see him later on the proper fast stuff. As he comes through the final corner, he's going to be all over the back. Yuri and NK Born pitting, and as he crosses the line, Tez side by side with Jamie. He's going to make another overtake for the lead in this race. What a fantastic display these two have given us as they head through. And Jamie, it's going to be another run of DRS for him all over the grass as he heads towards turn 2. Fantastic stuff. And is Tez gonna just hold back to pick up that DRS? Yes, he is, and he's gonna cut back. What a move as Jamie gets it all wrong through 3, and this fantastic battle just gets better. But look at this, we've got Casper and Leroy were side by side, and now letting Gareth and Jordan, who are also fighting away, stick to this group. Like I say, all these guys have many things to be fighting for. Jordan wheelbinding, he'll be terrified every time he does it, because he's in such a good position in the championship right now to possibly get himself qualified for the playoffs. He's just got to keep this all on the road. But in between all these fast drivers who are fighting for the championship, this is so stressful for him. And I tell you what, Casper all over Leroy as well, he'll want that done because he doesn't want to be fighting someone like Jordan who's fighting for his life for every point he can get.
Oh wow, Iceman round the outside of Jamie Griffiths. What a move as he now looks to the back of Tez, who leads another lap. But Iceman is complete on strategy. Tez has one more stop to go. Kieran sits third with a stop to go as well.
And look at the fighting into turn 1. Jamie right on the inside and ahead of Gareth. This is fantastic stuff. As you see Jake setting the fastest lap, he has now finished his pit stop strategy. I suppose he'll be looking for a safety car later on. A lot of these guys will. It's just how the strategy's worked, and we might get one, because that's another crash at the final corner for Marco. It's another safety car, but look, an accident as we see Casper losing it on the traction. No front wing on his car. And I tell you what, he'll be very happy that safety car got called, because that was so very nearly a championship ender for him.
I missed it, I must admit. Corey, silly error there. Corey was already committed to pit lane, so he's gone back onto the hards. But yeah, Casper struggling, you say. J-Luke is actually now ahead of him.
Oh, puncture for Yuri, who hit the debris from Casper, and he's got to be so careful to get back to the pits with a rear puncture especially. You can beat the car if the tyre goes too far and you end up spinning off or something. It didn't happen on previous games, and we of course famously saw Baza, I believe it was, losing a spot on the playoffs thanks to a puncture. And so this is not something that's unusual in Austria, and always going to spin. And you always worry about this. Will he be able to get this back moving again? Yes, he will. Oh, but it's a tricky one. It's so tricky. This is potentially another driver who was looking good to qualify, struggling. But do you know what? We're not even at the halfway point of this race yet.
No.
We've had all this drama so far. What on earth's going to happen next as Yuri does make it back to the pits? Now, we do see drivers making pit stops, of course. They're pretty much all non-mandatories. They're all fine. And most drivers actually have their stops finished by this point in the race, which is quite a rare occurrence for JACKOCAR, but it means we can have a lot more safety car drama.
Yep. The only ones we're waiting on to complete strategy are Tez, Kieran, and I believe Christian Hataro as well.
Yeah. So, really, for the most part, we're seeing this all sort of playing out in a pretty exciting way. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of this. Of course, we do have a few more actually that need to finish. Well, one more. We've got Jamie Griffiths has to finish.
Oh yeah, Jamie Griffiths as well, yeah.
But the rest, as you say, SD Mats, it says 2 stops, but as you may have saw, you just put a new set of softs on under safety car, so that won't count. So really, for the most part, we know where we're standing, and of course you're looking at MK Board and say, well, he has to make another one. Of course, he's on the Joker, doesn't have to go into the pits anymore. And so he's not looking too bad on the Joker, although, and sadly, it's a must-win, so I suppose it has to be P1. So he'll have to try and do some magic later on to get himself up. But, my goodness, I'm just going to take a breath now, because this race so far, absolute madness. And it is Tez in the lead of it. And he'll pick up a playoff. Well, I think he already has actually picked up the playoff point. So he's got a pole position, he's got the playoff point for the stage win. He's having it all his own way at the moment. But as Jacko said, it has to be another pit stop for him. But seeing how aggressive he's been with his overtaking, it almost excites me more than if he was just dominating the race. Because we're going to get to see him properly go in for it in the closing stages. And the sooner we get to see him make that mandatory stop, the better, frankly. Because it'll be absolute drama.
Tez has doubled the amount of playoff points he's ever had. So he had 2 before tonight. He had a fast lap on a stage, and now he's got a pole on another stage. He also has added to the amount of laps he's ever led. He's led 6 before tonight, and he's now on 9. It will become 10 though when they get to the line here. Everybody, importantly, Owen, so Corey I'm referring to from the original safety car, everybody on the lead lap. So Corey is back in this, but does carry on board that 5-second penalty for crossing the pit lane exit on the white line on the pit lane exit on his most recent stop.
Just want to say, by the way, 10 not to give it too much credit anymore, but hello to all of the viewers. Hope you're all enjoying the race tonight. Like I said, 10 not to be all that active in the chat, really, but it is good to see some of you there. And I hope you're all enjoying this race as well, because I know the numbers are a bit mind-boggling, but we are looking at a properly exciting race at the moment.
It's good to see some support for Tez in the chat, isn't it, as well? I do apologise to the Dutch fans if I'm saying his name wrong.
I think we both say it differently as well, so I hope one of us is
we
right.
do. I believe there's a third different way to pronounce it as well. Tez, T's and Ties. I don't know which one it is.
Well, we've got good news. This time, all of the field is caught up to the safety car. None of this Corey being 20 seconds behind on the restart, although he wasn't actually all that far back, which you will have noticed. He's up in 12th place now. So he clearly was able to get by a few drivers, despite the issues. But, 17 drivers on there. Yuri now at the back. Let's say, well, that puncture, how unlucky was that? But lucky to stay in the race. And ironically, I mean, it was Casper who caused it. And I don't think he'll be looking too bad, considering he was able to get a pit stop out of it, stick himself on medium compound tyres. That could possibly go to the end of the race. Do you really want to see the likes of Iceman do the whole race on hard? He will have no pace, surely, at the end. Same, really, with Jordan. His tyres will be great, although a chance to win a race, he is second place. He's net second place. And a chance to win a race is a big opportunity tonight.
And Owen, we've been corrected in chat by our Dutch friends. It is Tees is how you pronounce his name. So I've been saying it wrong. I think you've been saying it correctly.
Thank goodness for that.
But yeah. And Iceman, just touching on your point that if Iceman was leading with Jordan P2, would he consider letting Jordan through for a race win? Would it make the playoffs any easier for Iceman to have Jordan there in that top 10?
Who knows? I mean, maybe they want to have Tez. Or T's, and I'm doing your thing now.
T's,
maybe they want to have Tees win the race, because he has been so inconsistent. But if he can win a race tonight, that's a playoff driver they could possibly take off the board. But he's got to see if he can do a safety car restart. We've never seen him do this before, and I think he's done it relatively successfully. As he crosses the line up towards turn 1, and well, we're back underway. Oh, he's nearly spun, but he kept it. He held it as Jordan loses position to Jake. And Jake now becomes the net second place driver. And look again at all the fighting in the midfield. I always get a little bit nervous when I see that Corey's one of the drivers in the middle of all of it. But as we head up towards turn 3 for the first time on this restart, and everyone seems to be making their way through, apart from Corey. So
Corey,
yeah,
Corey
there you
had Ben
go.
Harrett on his inside then, and I forced the spin round. Not Corey's fault at all.
And so, a lot of fighting in this midfield. We're seeing Leroy now and Jamie Wright trying to find a way through. Okay, cut a corner, gain to place, and there's still yellow flags for Corey in the middle sector, who once again struggles as we see a spin and a collision for Leroy. He was fighting away, I think with Gareth it was, and Jamie has also gone too, as he was trying to avoid it all. And that's 2 more drivers having issues on the restarts here, as we see another yellow flag. That might just be a continuation of what we saw before, as leading the race by 1.5 seconds. And Corey is slowing right down, but leading the race by 1.5 seconds. Taze is doing his job, as we see Jake alongside Kieran on the inside. No DRS to fight with, by the way, at the moment, so you can properly go for it into turn 3. You often see some drivers will sort of hold back when they're fighting it because they know there's a detection point in the middle of the braking zone, but that's not relevant until the next lap. As Casper ahead of Jordan right on the back of him, as you say. Corey retiring from the race. NK Bourne still holds P9 on his Joker, so he's able to get these tyres, let's say, to the end in a relatively healthy form. He'll need a bit of luck for it to be a win though, and that's unfortunately what he needs if he wants to be in the playoffs this season. We of course have seen Joker wins. Most recently we saw it happen for Leroy, wasn't it, in Imola, so we know it can happen, but a penalty is not going to help your case. And MK Bourne picks up one of those as Tees makes his pit stop. I can't believe I'm saying it wrong now. And well, what's he going to put on? You would expect it to be the medium compound tyre, I suppose, and really from there it'll be about just how quickly can he get through the field, because he's definitely got the potential to win the race, but as you can see, he's not got the track position anymore. He'll come out behind Leroy, so he'll be in 14th place. And Jordan, and well, you can see a 3-car scrap happening in front of him. What does he want to do about it? Does he want to be cautious? He sees OKK's in front of him, but he knows OKK has got, he's got penalties for a start, but he's also got a big points deficit to him in the championship, and now you can see they're all going to be all over the back of Gareth Hull, and round the outside goes Jordan. Can he make it 3 cars and 2 corners as NK Bourne hinds himself in the wall? Oh, what a shame for him. It's going to be the chase for him surely this season now, based off that. It was already looking pretty tricky before. I noticed that Kieran was ahead of Jamie, by the way, so we'll keep our eye on that one, as Jake on the back of Iceman 2 will be a fascinating scrap, because you would imagine Jake would have the advantage in that one. And so I think we will actually move to that now. The fight for the lead, of course, on lap 24 out of 36. A 2/3 race point. We are absolutely loving this one. And I wish we had a little more of it, to be honest. We
never get to see these two fight either, do we?
And we're not going to see it tonight either.
Let's Jake go.
We're not going to see it tonight either.
Bigger things
there's
to
a
worry
yellow flag
about
for
for
Casper
Iceman.
again. That could be, this time, really important, because there's no safety car to bail him out of this one. And that could be a regular season championship falling away, as we see. Oh no! Yuri! This could be a safety car, Jacko. Front wings everywhere, and surely punctures could be picked up. There is a safety car deployed, and that all started by Yuri crashed into the back of, I believe, OKK, spins him round, then gets collected. And I think Tez will be loving this. He doesn't get any punctures through it. He now gets his chance to close up with a pack. And who's gonna pit, Jacko? Who's gonna pit?
I'll tell you what, I got a deal I'm gonna make with you. If you commentate, I'll tell you who pits. Iceman is the first one, though.
And well, I'm not surprised to see him into the pits, because obviously he will have pretty poor tyres at the end. But Jake's there as well. That's interesting, because I reckon they probably could have got away with it. But well, we see then Jake leading this race. Kieran Still need to make a second stop in this race. Obviously, no point doing it under safety car. It won't be mandatory, so fair enough for him staying out. Jamie Griffiths, I can't believe I'm saying all the names wrong. He's on the wrong tyre, really, to get to the end anyway, but he has to pit again, regardless. Gareth, sort of, as usual, finds himself up in a really good position, and no one quite knows how he's got there. And Tez, up into the top 6 now. And when this all packs up, well, he was nearly out of the race there, because that was so nearly a big pile-up, as everyone just sort of concertinaed up. But Tez, right in front of Iceman, those two, I'm looking forward to seeing how those two handle this restart, because they're both going to the end of this race. And again, what will Iceman do? Because will he look at Tez, say, well, if he wins tonight, it'll only be his first finish of the season. Surely he couldn't last a whole playoff campaign. Could that be a driver that they get qualified and watch drop out early? Will that be what plays through his mind? Because he's well in front of Jamie Wright, who's last, and Casper, who's 14th, third from last. So the playoffs, you know, he can worry about who he'll face in them now as the regular season champion, because that's how he'll be known as after this race if it stands like this. But again, late safety cars and JACKOCAR races tends to throw the order up in the air and, well, really put it into a roulette wheel who's going to win this race, because we tend to see absolute drama and then some random wins the race.
Yeah, you remember when we had that initial couple of seasons, and it, because all the focus was on the Championship 5 drivers, we ended up with Jamie Bromley winning a Championship 5 race, and then Riley Byes won one. The same happens for the regular season finale. You know, we've had Corey, we've had Risky. My memory escapes me on all the others, but we do get random winners at these finale races. It's so weird, isn't it? As OKK makes a second pit stop, a second non-mandatory pit stop under this safety car. So
that is soft to the end, isn't it? Again,
that is soft to the end. To update everyone, then, non-mandatory stops under this safety car: Ben Harrah, Jordan, Iceman, OKK twice, Yori, Jess, Christian Hataro, Casper, Jamie Wright, I almost said Jamie Bromley, and Leroy. So loads of pitters then.
Yeah.
Tez did not come in, but his tyres are fairly fresh anyway. So you're stuck there with Kieran and Jamie Griffiths still needing to make one stop each. So does Gareth. So your top 3 is actually Jake O'Sullivan, Mike Kelterborn, and Tez.
It's a shame for MK Bourne's penalty, isn't it? Because, well, the circumstances have played him nicely into position, but he's not going to be able to do much with it unless he makes a gap at the front. And again, that will need a lot of coordination between drivers. And the issue is, Tez is also in a must-win situation, so it's not like, oh, we'll just let the guy who hasn't won win, because you can't really do it, because 2 of these guys at the front need a win, desperately. And so it gives us this fascinating situation where we actually see some of the must-wins have a realistic chance to do so. Again, we'll always remind you of Risky Racer as we see Jamie Wright into the pits again. We'll always remind you of Risky Racer because he won. It was a late safety car that day in Season 3. He was bottom of the championship. He showed up and the drivers were able to sort of coordinate it in a way to get him to win the race. You know, there was obviously driver skill involved as well, but you can tell the other drivers were happy to let it happen. And so, yeah, all the drivers are thinking about this. And so I'll be fascinated to see who wins it. I'd be very surprised if we don't get a new winner tonight. Yeah, for the season anyway. I'm sure they'll try and make it happen if they can. And it would also just be quite good to see 8 different winners in the first 10 races. That would just be a lovely stat to have.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I was just looking at Jamie Wright copying the Jacko strategy from Tuesday night. Pit under safety car with 10 to go. Fresh softs to the end and go and win the race, my son.
The strategy
seemed to work for me.
The strategy that Owen said didn't make much sense. I still don't think it did make much sense what you did, as Yuri letting everyone past him. It worked just about. It only took half the field to let you through at the end, but yeah. Well.
Oh, get off! You ought to have seen some of the overtakes I was making.
I did, to be fair.
Thank you. It was just Gareth that didn't.
Yeah. As we see then the safety car peeling off into the pit lane then, and we are in for 9 laps of drama. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we get another safety car in this as well. Because the gloves are going to come off once again in the JACKOCAR Cup Series in Season 6. We've seen it so many times already where drivers throw everything at it to win a race. And often, the risk pays off. So who's going to come out on top today? I imagine Kieran and Jamie Griffiths will be wanting to pit ASAP. But can they disturb Jake's restart? As he heads to the line, he crawls up to the line, he puts his foot down, who gets a run? It's straight away Kieran having a bad one. But as he heads towards turn 1, where on earth has Ben come from, by the way? As we see Tez up into the top 4. He's already moving, and Iceman 2. But let's say, where on earth has Ben Harrott come from? He's right up there now, fighting away. He's very much in position. As you see Jamie Griffiths and fighting away with Tees and with Gareth and Jamie and Iceman, all these 4 going for it. And I tell you what, Tees is going to get possibly the 2 of them in one go. We know he loves a move at turn 4. He's up the inside, and off the road goes Gareth, and so straight into second place goes Tees. He's having the race of a lifetime here, Jacko. He only has to close down on the race leader of Jake, and we know on the slower tyre against him, he was quicker, so on a faster tyre, it should be no contest.
Surely it's not happening again in JACKOCAR, is it? Corey and Sullivan Lewis have come before from deep in the bottom part of the standings to go and win their way into the playoffs. Win and you're in is the mentality. The playoffs is the pinnacle of the JACKOCAR Cup Series, as we have Jamie Griffiths and Gareth making their pit stops. I did note Leroy had wing damage, but surely it can't be written in the stars like this. What an awful season Tez has had. As we look now at 8 to go, Owen Wyatt. Will Tez pull off the impossible? Will it be 8 from 10? Will it be 14 from 16 across all JACKOCAR tiers?
It's looking
race
good.
Winners.
It's looking good, because I'll tell you what, he's over a second ahead of Iceman as well, which means he may not have to worry about the DRS threat. Iceman maybe find himself more interested in dealing with Leroy, and as you say, there may be front wind downs, but he still has the soft compound tyres. That'll be good for the traction zones, and if he can just get into the DRS zone, he'll be well into this. OKK on those new tyres, we mentioned him pitting earlier on. He's now up into 7th place. He needs to seriously, again, get a move on. He has a penalty, but Jordan, next car up, Leroy's off. So that's going to give him another position. And Leroy, well, he'll be lucky if he... Well, actually, it's a good gap to get back into the field, so he'll be in there in 10th place. But OKK, you know, if he can get up at Jordan, get ahead, make the gap, and then it's got Ben Spurs as well. The problem is, these guys, as it stands, as Tees moves up in towards turn 1, he'll get the DRS, and he'll take the lead, and it will mean, if he wins the race, those guys, Ben, Jordan, OKK, will only be fighting over 1 playoff spot. That's how crucial this is.
And here he
goes up the inside. He gives the DRS to Jake on the exit. I don't think it's going to be enough for him though, because Tees has the better, grippier tyres. But let's see. He leads for now, but the run is good, and Jake will have a look at the inside of turn 4. This is Tees' favourite place to overtake, but can he defend there? As running outside, he does make it work, and the pole sitter is back into the lead of the race. The bottom place driver in the Cup Series might well be about to be put into the playoffs, but look at this. They're still fighting side by side. And Tees running outside of 7 and contact through 8. This is incredible stuff. And Iceman right into the fight. And they're still side by side. They've been nearly at this the whole lap. A fantastic switchback from Jake up the inside. They're both going to waltz off the road together as we see Iceman right into this. And Tees and Jake giving us the battle of the season so far. And it's not over yet. 3 drivers in this now. And the DRS for both Iceman and Tees. I'm sure Tees will not repeat his mistake. He will surely hold back now and take the DRS.
To the inside!
Oh, I think
he
might have
has made that mistake. I think he has.
Let's see, he's certainly forced the driver further wide this time. Neither of them got it. He'll be happy enough with that, because it means that Jake can't fight back. And with 6 laps to go, Tees just has to look forward now. Can he win from the bottom of the championship and get himself into the playoffs from pole? What a result it would be. He picked up a playoff point as well at the halfway point. He is having an incredible race.
And Tees as well, he's only about 2 laps led away from having the most laps led, so that would be 3 playoff points plus the 5 for the win. And a place in the playoffs awaits the young man from the Netherlands as he's now bridged a near 1 second gap to Jake. He's going to leave Jake and Iceman to fight over P2. Iceman's fight, though, really was against J, Luke and Casper, who lie nowhere in this race. They're only 7th and 16th as it stands on the road. Joining them in the playoffs could be Tez and Jordan as well as it stands. He's doing enough in P5 to advance on points, but he would only advance in P10. Right behind him is Ben Harrett, who's 1 position up the road. It's not going to be good enough. He needs to overhaul Jordan by 4 points here.
OKK can make it difficult for Jordan because he will be on him, and Jamie Wright as well, so that is not over yet. We'll have to keep our eyes on that because those position changes, it's 4 points between Jordan and Ben Harrett, and when those guys get involved, it could make it a bit touchy. It really could, so that could be another thing that comes right down to the wire for Ben Spurs, who thoroughly deserves a playoff spot, it has to be said, but so does Jordan, and so does OKK.
Jordan has a moment.
OKK might drop out of it, so I think it will be just Jordan and Ben fighting over this. And, well, I suppose Ben will be hoping that this fight between Iceman and Jake goes on for a while longer, gets a bit more wheel to wheel, gets a bit like what we saw Jake and Tez like. I can't believe I keep saying it wrong.
Oh, look at this, Owen. Sorry to interrupt. We've got Danny Quinn and Chatwell in on Ben Shaw for the win as they now close the gap onto Tez.
Look at this, Tez went off.
Tez did go off. Yeah.
They're both going to get DRS. I think Iceman could have done with not actually backing off there because he should have realised that he would have got DRS anyway. Was that a potential overtake spoiled for him there? Or will he still be able to go for it? Because despite having DRS, he's got nothing to defend with Jake. As Roy on the outside tries Iceman, bit more wheel binding. This is what Ben's wanting to happen. He's got a 1.8 second gap over Jordan, so if he can catch up to this, there's a good chance he'll be on his own. But with only 3.5 laps to go, time is now really running out.
But the thing is, Ben would need to be P2 and Jordan would have to drop down to P6 if Ben wants to advance. So Jordan has that 4-point buffer in hand and he needs to use it. Of course, OKK keeps picking up penalties. It's not happening for Ben Harrett. Jordan looks like he's on his way to the playoffs. As Tez leads another lap, it's free to go in Spielberg.
Oh, he just can't break clear of that DRS though, can he? And Jake on these 21 lap old hard compound tyres is doing a superb job to keep in this, and it's making Tease sweat a little bit. It's making Iceman unable to fight really for now, and I have a feeling this will all come to a head in a few laps time. Is Jamie Wright going to overtake OKK at any point? Because he's all over the back of him.
There it is,
he's all the way past him. And so, can he chase after Jordan? Will he put Jordan under pressure? I'd be surprised.
Here comes MK Bourne
I'd be surprised.
to the outside of OKK. Sorry, Aaron.
These guys have penalties, so they won't be able to affect Jordan. But like I say, Jamie and Jordan, I'd be very surprised if they start sabotaging each other. It would make no sense for them to sabotage each other, actually. So, I do think it'll be Jordan making his way into the playoffs. And so, that means we can sort of focus on these last 2 laps on the fight for the win, because that's 1 playoff spot done. And I have to say, if Tease loses this race, which he could obviously still do, then that would mean Ben Harrett has nothing to worry about. So there's a few things he'd have to sort of be looking out to see happen in these last 2 laps, as we see a yellow flag for SD Mats, who will be chase bound after such a strong start for the season. What a shame for him, as Tease makes the 1 second gap again. He's got DRS as well. Potentially on the car in front, not quite. The car in front, I believe, is Casper, which is a bit odd.
It is Casper. Not having a good race. He's going to settle for 3rd in the regular season then. There's 1.5 laps to go in Austria. Will Casper play a part in this? Because the last thing Ben Harrett needs is a Tez win, but the last thing Tez needs is an ART teammate. SD Mats is out of the race and out of the playoffs. He's going to the chase, Owen. Casper, will he play a factor then with Tez?
Well, let's
2 corners to go.
That's right on board. He's got another lap to survive, but the thing is, right now he'll pick up DRS, and so there will be benefits to be gained here. Obviously, there's no ghost or anything though, so you've got to make the overtake properly under blue flags. Even though the guy in front of me doesn't want to do it, as OKK is also going to be chase bound with that retirement. He lost it at turn 8, as right outside and towards turn 1 goes Tease, and I tell you what, Casper is making it difficult, and there's contact through there. Is there going to be front wing damage? Anything could ruin this still for Tease, but he's through. He is through. Will there be any sort of fight back? I don't think he's close enough. And so, oh, he's wide though. He's, tell you what, he's feeling the pressure as Tees. Tees, who has a real habit for crashing out of races, finds himself with a massive amount of pressure from Casper, the lapped car, who can no longer win this season's regular season championship. The man 2 cars behind him, you can see him there, Ben Shaw. He is on course to win it. I think though Tees might be okay. Let's see. He's only got a few corners to go. 4 corners left. 3 now. And he's just got to worry about turn 9 and turn 10. And we are about to see a driver who came into tonight's race with no finishes, with no points, with no pole positions. He takes pole. He's led the most laps. Tees is into the playoffs with one of the most incredible victories in JACKOCAR's history. And that is history repeating itself in Austria. Bottom of the championship, straight into the playoffs. And congratulations to Jordan, who follows him into the playoffs. And of course, to Ben Shaw, who is your regular season champion once again in JACKOCAR Cup Series.
Oh, win and you're in. And that just proves your season is never over. 0 points, as you said, Owen. 20th. He's done nothing all season. He's done nothing for 13 races since joining this league. And he's found his way into the playoffs. Oh, amazing. He picks up the 5 playoff points for the win. He also led the most laps the first stage and the pole position. That's 8 playoff points. He's going to have a nice buffer ahead of people like Gareth and Jordan, who have next to no playoff points to begin their playoff campaign. Ben Harrett, he'll be so disappointed. He comes so close. He did enough on the road, but unfortunately so did Jordan. MK Bourne comes home P7 in the end after a fairly decent joker. I think he had one too many safety cars ruin it for him. Kira managed to get back up to P8 after a late pit stop, and then Jamie Griffiths faded away to P11. Austria, as ever, Owen Wyatt, it's delivered once again.
And that must be one of the best finishes or best races we've seen here as well, because that was action from the very start, wasn't it? It never really got dull. And I mean, Tees had to work for it as well. He made some incredible overtakes, and of course there was that battle with Jake that I'm sure would be reposting on JACKOCAR's Twitter. And look at, well, we've lost the podium unfortunately. There it is. But you'll definitely see that fight again, because that is one of the best fights I've ever seen on an F1 game. And the fact it was for the win as well just makes it all better. And this is just, it's almost surreal watching this happen again. Because when you thought what happened with Risky, that really was a one-time, one-off freak accident almost of a victory. But to see it happen again, but this time in dominant style, can Tees come through and perform a second half of the season that, you know, if he tries like that every week, he'll win the championship. It's as simple as that. But as of now, he is the man. He has won in Austria. Jake in second. Iceman, like I say, once again the regular season champion. Ben Harrett, 4th place, just misses out to Jordan, who qualifies for the playoffs as well. And then we've got Jamie, MK Bourne, Kieran, Jess, Gareth, Jimmy Numbers, Leroy, Yori, Casper, and then our retirements, so KK, SD Matt, Corey, Marco, Connor, and Pete. And what a way then to end the regular season. Probably the best regular season I can remember from the Cup Series. And I wasn't even here for the first 3 races of it. That's how good it's been.
Definitely the most competitive. I would also agree with you on the best, but definitely the most competitive. We've had 8 winners from 10 races. The most winners we've ever had in a season, we've had it twice, including last season, was 9 from 17 races. We've got another 7 races to go, and you know what? Those 7 races, Owen, they all follow one after the other. A 7-week run-in all the way up to December the 8th. Japan and Italy is around one of the playoffs, and then Brazil and Mexico before we head off to Canada and Austin, and finally finish with the Championship 5 in Miami.
And you're not going to want to miss any of those races. I mean, Suzuka last season, it contained one of the dramatic pile-ups in JACKOCAR, taking out, well, chase potential winning drivers. It was absolute drama. It essentially set up the season finale for Jake to win it, so that is absolutely something you're going to want to watch. Monza, another good place for some upsets. We saw again a few more pile-ups our last season. I'm sure it's not all pile-ups, but it's become a bit of a theme. Brazil, we've seen championships decided there. We've seen, I recall Pete being an absolute menace a few seasons ago there, so you can definitely get some dramatic racing there. Mexico City, possibly the most exciting end-to-a race in JACKOCAR in Season 5, where we saw that massive scrap at the end of the race, with Jamie crashing out moments after taking the lead, Kieran taking his first ever win. And then this end run with Montreal, chaos incarnate. We love this place in JACKOCAR. You just cannot miss it. Texas, we've seen championships decided there before, and in general, pretty exciting races. And then Miami. I mean, race 100 with a complete unknown, but Jack has been waiting forever, really, for this to happen. And so this will be the most exciting playoff season. I'm sure of that, and I can't wait to get it started next week. But for the regular season, that is us tonight. Thank you all for tuning in for the first time races. Hope you've all enjoyed it. Hope you'll be sticking around for the rest as well, because this is JACKOCAR and we absolutely love it here. So, thank you all for watching and safe travels.